The upcoming Street Fighter movie planned for 2026 marks a fresh attempt to bring Capcom's legendary fighting game universe back to the big screen in a way that finally matches its global popularity. This project is positioned as a full reboot rather than a continuation of past adaptations, aiming to respect the source material while reshaping it for modern audiences. From the earliest updates, the intention has been clear. This version wants to feel authentic to the games. Larger in scale, more character-focused, and built to potentially launch a long-running cinematic universe. The tone being discussed leans toward grounded martial arts mixed with heightened, stylized action, staying true to the spirit of the franchise without becoming overly cartoonish. Development updates over time have highlighted how carefully the studio and Capcom are treating this adaptation. Capcom is directly involved in the creative process, which is a major point because earlier films suffered from a lack of understanding of the characters and lore. This collaboration suggests the filmmakers want to preserve the personalities, motivations, and rivalries that fans recognize, while also making the story accessible to viewers who may not know the games. The movie is being designed to stand on its own, meaning no deep knowledge of the franchise is required to follow the story. But longtime fans can still catch references, character dynamics, and thematic elements pulled straight from the games. When it comes to the characters, the film is expected to center on the core fighters that define Street Fighter. Ryu is positioned as the emotional anchor of the story, portrayed as a disciplined warrior struggling with inner conflict and the dangerous power he carries. Ken is expected to balance Ryu by bringing charisma, confidence, and a more outwardly emotional approach to combat and life. Their brother-like bond, rivalry, and shared training history form one of the most important relationships in the film, acting as both a personal and philosophical contrast between control and impulse. Other iconic fighters are expected to play key roles as well, each representing different cultures, fighting styles, and motivations. Chun-Li's role is described as central rather than secondary, with her story tied to justice, loss, and the global consequences of criminal organizations operating in the shadows. Guile's presence connects the narrative to military themes and personal revenge, grounding the more mystical elements of the story. Characters like Zangief, Blanca, Dhalsim, and others are expected to appear in meaningful ways, not just as cameos, giving the movie the feeling of a true world-spanning tournament of fighters. At the heart of the conflict is the Shadow of Shadaloo, the criminal organization that has long served as the backbone of Street Fighter's overarching. NARRATIVM Bison is expected to be portrayed not just as a physical threat, but as a manipulative figure who represents control, domination, and the abuse of power, rather than being a one-note villain. This version of the character is rumored to be more layered, with clear goals that directly challenge the ideals of the heroes. His influence stretches across nations, fighters, and institutions, making the conflict feel global rather than personal. Story-wise, the plot is expected to blend elements of a World Warrior-style tournament with a deeper conspiracy narrative. The tournament structure provides a natural reason for fighters from all over the world to clash, showcasing different styles and philosophies of combat. At the same time, the film reportedly uses the tournament as a cover for darker activities tied to Shadaloo's experiments and power plays. This allows the action to feel purposeful while also giving the characters reasons to question why they are fighting and who truly benefits from the battles. One of the biggest creative goals of the movie is to balance realism with the supernatural aspects of Street Fighter. Techniques like Hadouken, Psycho Power, and other signature abilities are expected to appear, but with a visual style that makes them feel intense and dangerous rather than exaggerated. The idea is to treat these abilities as extensions of extreme discipline, energy control, and psychological focus, helping them fit into a more cinematic world. This approach is meant to avoid the mistakes of earlier adaptations that either ignored these powers or made them feel disconnected from the story. Casting has been one of the most talked about aspects, even though official confirmations have been kept tightly under wraps. The focus has been on finding actors who can convincingly handle martial arts choreography while also delivering strong emotional performances. Physical authenticity is being prioritized, with reports emphasizing training, movement, and body language as much as star power. Rather than relying solely on big-name celebrities, the casting strategy appears to favor performers who can embody the fighters' personalities and fighting styles in a believable way. Behind the camera, the creative team has been described as action-focused and character-driven. The director attached to the project is known for blending kinetic energy with humor and emotional beats, which fits well with Street Fighter's mix of intensity and personality. The action design is expected to emphasize practical choreography supported by visual effects, not replaced by them. This means longer takes, clearer movements, and fights that tell a story rather than just delivering spectacle. The production timeline places the film firmly on track for a 2026 release, with earlier updates pointing toward a spring window. This timing positions the movie as a major theatrical event rather than a smaller genre release. The long development period is being used to refine the script, plan complex action sequences, and coordinate with Capcom to ensure consistency with the franchise's identity. Delays and adjustments during development have been framed as quality control rather than setbacks, reinforcing the idea that the studio wants to get this right. As of now, no full trailer has been released, but early internal previews and test footage are said to focus heavily on tone rather than story. These previews reportedly emphasize atmosphere, character silhouettes, and brief flashes of combat to establish the look and feel of the movie. The marketing strategy appears to be deliberately slow, building anticipation rather than revealing too much too early. When a full trailer does arrive, it is expected to highlight iconic rivalries, intense training moments, and the global scale of the conflict without giving away major plot twists. Visually, the film aims to strike a balance between realism and stylization. Locations are designed to feel authentic to their real-world inspirations, while still carrying the heightened personality of the games. Urban streets, underground fight arenas, remote training grounds, and imposing strongholds all play a role in making the world feel expansive. Costume design leans toward practical combat wear enhanced with subtle nods to the classic character designs, avoiding overly flashy outfits while still remaining recognizable. The emotional core of the story revolves around choice, discipline, and identity. Ryu's struggle with inner darkness is mirrored by other characters facing their own moral crossroads. Some fighters are drawn to the tournament for honor, others for revenge, money, or survival. This range of motivations helps the film explore what it truly means to be strong and whether power should be controlled, shared, or feared. These themes elevate the movie beyond simple fighting, giving each clash narrative weight. Another important aspect of the film is its approach to humor. Street Fighter has always had a playful side, and the movie reportedly embraces this without undermining the stakes. Character banter, personality clashes, and situational comedy are used to humanize the fighters, making them more relatable. This lighter tone is carefully balanced so that it never undercuts dramatic moments, allowing the film to shift smoothly between intensity and fun. From a franchise perspective, the 2026 movie is designed as a potential starting point rather than a one-off experiment. The story is structured to resolve its main conflict while leaving room for future installments. Certain characters and plot threads are introduced with long-term development in mind, hinting at sequels, spin-offs, or expanded storylines if the film succeeds. This forward-looking approach reflects confidence in the brand and a desire to build something lasting. Fan expectations are understandably high, given Street Fighter's history and the mixed reception of previous adaptations. What sets this project apart is the clear effort to listen to fan feedback, while still making creative decisions that work for cinema. The emphasis on martial arts authenticity, character depth, and respect for the lore has helped generate cautious optimism. Rather than trying to reinvent Street Fighter completely, the movie aims to translate its essence into a new medium. As the release year approaches, anticipation continues to build around how the final product will come together. The combination of Capcom's involvement, a focused creative vision, and a commitment to quality action suggests this could be the most faithful and compelling Street Fighter adaptation to date. Whether it becomes a major blockbuster or a cult favorite, the 2026 Street Fighter movie represents a significant moment for video game films, showing how far the genre has evolved and how seriously these stories are now being taken.